It appears Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is responsible for the recent stunt that has California Governor Gavin Newsom enraged and possibly en route to file charges. Welcome into TYT Overruled. I am your legal analyst, Adrienne Lawrence. After a privately chartered plane of 16 migrants mysteriously arrived in Sacramento this weekend, Gavin Newsom launched an investigation to unearth who was behind this stunt. And it appears the California governor has identified his man and has called him out on Twitter. Ron DeSantis, you small, pathetic man. This isn't Martha's Vineyard, referencing DeSantis' prior stunt sending some 50 migrants to the wealthy Massachusetts island. Kidnapping charges? Newsom attached this portion of the California statute, which is California Penal Code 207D. It reads, every person who, being out of this state, abducts or takes by force or fraud any person contrary to the law of the place where that act is committed and brings, sends, or conveys that person within the limits of this state and is afterwards found within the limits thereof is guilty of kidnapping.
This is Michael Popok, Legal AF. We got breaking news out of Bexar County, Texas. That's where San Antonio is located. After 7 long months, the sheriff there, Javi Salazar, a Democratic-appointed sheriff, elected sheriff, has finished his criminal investigation and is ready to seek charges against those in the DeSantis administration for them luring, tricking, and putting 48 primarily Venezuelan asylum seekers, not illegal immigrants, asylum seekers, who were at a immigration resource center, trick them to get on a plane, and then use them as human props and dump them in the middle of the summer in Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts. They used a former Army counterintelligence agent and medic, a woman by the name of Perla Huerta, who apparently speaks Spanish, to go grab and trick these people and fill up an airplane and get it from the San Antonio region over to Martha's Vineyard. In fact, she was sent, the reporting says, by DeSantis' people from Tampa with a specific instruction to go fill those planes, the ones that DeSantis was paying for with taxpayer dollars. And by the way, paying a campaign contributor of his who ran a charter company for the cost of those things. So you just see what a viper's nest DeSantis has created.
Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders has only been on the job for a little under half a year at this point, but she is now already being sued by a coalition of librarians, authors, readers, and booksellers for the oppressive and regressive book ban that she signed into law earlier this year.
So let me tell you something, everybody. The grift from this family is breathtaking. It's breathtaking. Jared Kushner and Ivanka Kushner walk out of the White House and months later get $2 billion from the Saudis. $2 billion from the Saudis. You think it's because he's some kind of investing genius? Or do you think it's because he was sitting next to the President of the United States for 4 years doing favors for the Saudis? That's your money. That's your money he stole. And gave it to his family. You know what that makes us? A banana republic. That's what it makes us. So, he may get 30% again. I'm not sure. Maybe he'll get more. Maybe he'll get less. But let me tell you what he'll know in 2024 that he had no idea of in 2016. He's in for a fight to get it. The reason this is going to be different this time, sir, is because at least one of us is going to call him on the fact that 8 years ago he stood on the stage in New Hampshire and said he was going to balance the budget in 4 years. And he left with the biggest deficit of any president in American history. He said he was going to eliminate the national debt in 8 years. He added $3 trillion to the national debt in 4 years. If you think for 1 minute, when he says, I am your retribution, if you think he wants to be your retribution, forget it. He's going to be retribution for one person and one person only, himself. And all the things he's angry about, and all the ways he thinks he got snookered. Well, if that's the kind of president you want, let me tell you, no one can compete with him. He's the runaway winner. But if you want somebody who's actually going to fight for you, I would suggest that's not the right choice. Beware of the leader in this country who you have handed leadership to, who has never made a mistake, who has never done anything wrong, who when something goes wrong, it's always someone else's fault, and who has never lost.
Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. Friends, today is a good day for justice.
Rachel, on that Monday, August 8th, we were both covering something we thought inconceivable. We talked about how shocked we were walking down the hallway getting this information that a search warrant was being served at the home of a former president of the United States. And here we are tonight.
As I look at you all, here we are on a very serious and sober night. A night where we see the justice system, the rule of law working. It works slowly, but it works.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Down goes, well, hold. It's just an indictment.
We have one set of laws in this country, and they apply to everyone.
Several media outlets have reported that Mark Meadows has answered questions under oath after being subpoenaed by special counsel Jack Smith. Meadows is said to have answered questions relating to both criminal investigations into the former president while appearing in front of the grand jury per ABC News.
I'm Ben Meiselas from the Midas Touch Network. We are learning that disgraced federal Judge Eileen Cannon, who Donald Trump appointed to the bench in 2020, who improperly assumed jurisdiction over the search warrant executed by the Department of Justice in August of 2022 at the Mar-a-Lago premises. That Judge Eileen Cannon, who was essentially reprimanded by the Court of Appeals in the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, which supervises the Florida federal courts, ruling that she should never have been interfering with the Department of Justice's ongoing criminal investigation of Donald Trump. Yes, that Judge Eileen Cannon has been randomly assigned in the criminal case brought by the Department of Justice and Special Counsel Jack Smith against Donald Trump in the Southern District of Florida.
Yesterday I opened the show ranting about Clarence Thomas and Ginny, and what do we do about this? How do we deal with this? New reporting about Harlan Crow and his wife Kathy. They're not just Republican mega donors. I mean, they've contributed millions of dollars to Republican candidates and campaign committees over the last 3 decades, according to OpenSecrets.org. And Federal Election Commission records. But it turns out that they're also, this guy is a canny political operator. He understands American politics. I mean, it's no wonder that he's been able to keep Clarence Thomas in the correct lane for the last 30 years by, giving him multi-million dollars in vacations and Frederick Douglass's Bible and buying his mother's home and refurbishing it and letting her live there rent-free and putting his kid through high-end prep schools. And, it's really pretty breathtaking. I mean, but he does this obviously because he knows what he's doing politically. And why do I say that? Because he's not just giving money to Republicans. He is also giving money to some Democrats, but not just any Democrats. He gave money to Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin blows up refuses to blow up the filibuster so that the voting rights bill, H.R. 1, the For the People Act, can't pass. He gives money to Kyrsten Sinema. Same deal. Kyrsten Sinema helping blow up the Build Back Better plan also in the United States Senate. He's a mega donor to No Labels, the group that is thinking about running Joe Manchin for president in order to help whoever the Republican nominee is become president against Joe Biden. He has also contributed to a bunch of Democrats in the House, Carolyn Bordeaux of California, Ed Case of Hawaii. These are all sellout Democrats. These are all Democrats who take big money from corporations and right-wingers. Jim Costa of California, Henry Cuellar of Texas, Jared Golden of Maine, Vicente Gonzalez of Texas, Josh Gottheimer of New Jersey, who's always out there saying, I'm a problem solver here, and Kurt Schrader of Oregon, the guy that we got rid of here. The National Republican Congressional Committee also reported receiving over $1.4 million from the Crows, and they contributed $500,000, $500,000 to Liberty Central. Who started Liberty Central? Ginny Thomas. Gee, what a coincidence. He's also given money to Senators Chuck Grassley, John Cornyn, and Marsha Blackburn, who all sit on the Judiciary Committee that has now subpoenaed Harlan Crow to come testify. He's paying off his jurors. Does it get worse than this? I suppose it's possible, but wow.
I've never seen anything like this. The number of lawyers that have left Donald Trump is unprecedented. Leaving a client after you sign with him is considered like very poor form in the legal world. It could actually get you in legal trouble for abandoning a client, right? And now it appears, I lost count, but I think it's in the dozens of lawyers in the last 6 years that have left Trump. Because why? He asked them to lie. And they're like, we can't do that. We'll be disbarred. We might even be put in jail. He's like, I don't care. Why don't you shred the documents? What do you mean shred the documents? He's like, just shred them, then you'll be in trouble and not me. So yeah. They're constantly leaving. In this case here, I want to show graphic 7 real quick. Guys, there's 3 potential reasons why the lawyers left Trump. And none of them have to do with a change of venue. So that's the bathroom and ballroom that we were alluding to, okay? The ballroom, anyone can access. I don't know who can access the bathroom, but anyone can access the ballroom. That's insane. That's top secret national security documents sitting where anyone can go and get them. Now, did he tell his lawyers, oh yeah, I put them in the ballroom? Did he tell his lawyers, oh yeah, other lawyers before you guys, I told them to maybe get rid of the documents, And oh, by the way, that lawyer that I told to lie, she did lie, and now she's in a world of trouble because she signed the document saying to the FBI saying that there were no more boxes, right? And so now I want you guys to do all of that for me. Oh, by the way, he probably didn't tell his lawyers, oh yeah, I took the nuclear program secrets and our defenses and our vulnerabilities. He probably told them, I did nothing. I took a coaster, I took a commemorative pen, right? And when they get the indictment, they're like, what? Why didn't you tell us any of this? We're your lawyers.
Yeah, I confess. This morning I was blasé. I was okay. He had these documents. We knew it. We saw the pictures from Mar-a-Lago. And then when the indictment came out, I was like, oh, there's always another layer down with this guy. Then what shocked me in particular was the nuclear programs, our own vulnerabilities. He's sharing our Iran plans with buddies at a golf course. And I don't see those as documents. Those are human beings. Those are American lives. Those are people who are helping the United States around the world who were put at risk. Those are American soldiers and Marines and airmen and seamen who were put at risk. And so the lack of reverence, lack of sense of responsibility for the people who were serving under his command is just so offensive. And then just I had this thought, he's just a mean boy. He's like an 8-year-old boy who wanted these documents for some willful reason, who could not admit error. And my friend Andrew Sullivan made the point today that whenever there's a situation where Donald Trump has to be equal with everybody, the rules have to apply equally, he will ride roughshod over that system and behave in a way so I'm not equal to everybody else. It's just me. The rules don't apply to me. And it's Greek in its exposure of his character flaws.
Note to Stan Woodward, your client got indicted. You should have taken the deal when it was offered. Now it's not going to be offered. Or it's going to be much less because when you're the first in, like Walt Nauta, and you help the Department of Justice, you might get full immunity. But when you're not, and you're being uncooperative, and the other side believes that you as the lawyer is being also uncooperative, then you're going to have a meeting like the one that you think was totally inappropriate when it wasn't. And so the Jay Brad apparently said to him, at least that's according to reporting, in the meeting, said to the lawyer for Walt Nauta, I didn't think you were a Trump guy. You know, I know you're going for that judgeship, but you know, I'm surprised you're taking such a hard tack with us on this. The fact that it's publicly reported that the Save America PAC is paying Stan Woodward, which it is, and that may or may not have got mentioned in the room, and the fact that he's publicly applying for a job in the DC, for the DC Municipal Court bench, also publicly available, and that got mentioned in the room. I don't see the quid pro quo, but in Donald Trump's list of grievances that he uses to collect money from unsuspecting donors, he said, oh, it was a quid pro quo, a bribe. A bribe was offered. Flip on Trump, and you'll get that municipal judgeship. That's not what Jay Bratt said.
Hello, everybody. I wanted to take time today to tell you about something really cool that I'm rolling out. We have a series of things rolling out soon, and this is like the first thing. So we have 3 blocks of stuff. We have what I'm getting ready to show you, and then we have like a merch drop. We'll have more merch again in July, but then we have a secret drop later on in the fall, probably like October-ish. But for now, I wanted to introduce you to Meat Buddies. I got to make a nice tradable cards. I was really interested in this project because I played a lot of Magic the Gathering. I used to collect Dinosaur Attacks cards. You remember that? Have you ever heard of that? Or the Mars Attacks cards. Remember those? Have you heard about those? Yu-Gi-Oh! All that kind of bullshit and Cabbage Patch Kids. And I love the idea of a physical trading card game, but I just wanted to go over some of all of the beautiful cards that come in this pack. It's 17 beautiful cards, all holographic. These are all really well made, really nice cards. I mean, we got Meat Canyon. We got Jimmy the Savior. We got Charlie. We got Nick, Devourer of Worlds. Elon Musk, Rabbit Season, Logan Paul, Ronald, Dream, Yokai Bob the Builder, Andrew Tate, SpongeBob, Miss Frizzle, Da Baby, me as an anime girl, Smash Maggot, Stink Fiend, the list goes on and on. So this will be available starting today, June 7th, and it goes until June 28th. We're doing pre-orders. It's $25 a pack. It's just a fun collectible, really well done cards. On the back of all the cards too, it has some nice QR codes, and it takes you to the corresponding video. Like this one will take you to Meadows, Devourer of Worlds. Really nice.
Marjorie Taylor Greene has backtracked, and this backtrack, by the way, has earned her the scorn and derision from MAGA world. But during a recent interview on Real America's Voice, Marjorie Taylor Greene actually said that she no longer wants to release all of the January 6th footage to the American public because she is afraid that if the full footage is released, then people are going to see people on the video and report them to the FBI like, hey, you missed Mr. Smith walking around here. He lives right next door to me. You need to go arrest him for being at the Capitol. In other words, all of those things that all of us said would happen if you release this footage that Marjorie Taylor Greene has been pushing for months to release to the public, she now realizes, wait a minute, y'all have got a good point.
Well, that is a great concern of mine. I mean, they receive millions of dollars and have never replaced the video cameras in the Capitol that they were supposed to replace, and many other things haven't been done. I think the safety and security of the Capitol should be a very serious issue. And I feel the same way about kids in school. I think that we should take safety and security very seriously, not only for politicians here in Washington, but for people all over the country. And that's why it is so important to support our police, give them the right tools and the ability to do it. But if you're not taking the tools and the funding to create better security, then we need to take a look and make sure that happens.
Effectively, as expected, Donald Trump issued a dangerous call to arms to his supporters ahead of his arraignment on federal criminal charges in Miami on Tuesday. He posted on Truth Social this post, a photo of the courthouse where he'll be arraigned, along with the address and the words, all hands on deck, Trump document hoax rally, and wrote, see you in Miami on Tuesday. And this is an obvious provocation of his supporters so that he can rile them up and force law enforcement to have to worry for their safety because they're doing their jobs. Because something, law and order. And of course, this is a direct repeat of his playbook ahead of his arraignment in New York just weeks ago, where he called on his supporters back then to take back our nation. That call to arms completely flopped, amounting to only a pathetic rally that appeared to have more protesters than supporters. Although, of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene showed up, only to essentially get run out of town while her speech was drowned out with whistles. This is also a direct repeat of the playbook that he used on January 6th, where he said it was going to be wild, and then during his speech told his supporters to march down to the Capitol.
We know that Donald Trump's election lies inspired that deadly January 6th insurrection at the Capitol, and U.S. federal law enforcement is working to make sure that that doesn't happen again. I spoke to 5 law enforcement sources across the country today who said that FBI domestic terrorism agents and analysts are actively working to identify any potential threats surrounding that upcoming court appearance. They are looking at online platforms that are popular with extremist groups. This is important. They are also querying and tasking confidential human informants who report on these domestic terrorism groups. Now, as secretive and closed off as these groups think they are infiltrated by informants of the FBI. That has often led to consternation among these extremist groups, as well as infighting and paranoia. By the way, I'm told the FBI doesn't mind that one bit. At this point, there's no indication of any credible and specific threat, but FBI agents and intelligence analysts are certainly looking for those potential threats. One source told me that they don't want to see the same violence on January 6th happen this coming Tuesday, Wolf.
Yeah, no one does. And Josh, I understand we are learning new details about the U.S. Secret Service and their planned posture next week.
That's right. Well, the U.S. Secret Service issued a statement a short time ago saying that they won't be asking for any special precautions to be taken surrounded by Trump's visit to that courthouse on Tuesday. But, this is so important. Their mission is to protect Donald Trump. And we know that these extremist groups, they're not going to target the former president. They're adherents of his message. But the question comes down to, what about everyone else? What about the people who work in that courthouse? What about members of the prosecutorial team who we know have, faced threats? And so that's why this work by federal law enforcement is so important across the country, trying to determine, are there potential threats, looking online, talking to sources, anyone who might have information. Federal law enforcement will certainly respect First Amendment protected activity at the courthouse. If people want to come and protest and support Donald Trump, but something they certainly won't abide is any violence. We're told they're working to try to disrupt, dismantle any types of groups who might be funding that wolf.
This is what he does. He knows how to communicate with his base using language that's just coded enough for them to get his gist, while he thinks that he has just enough room left to cover his ass legally. And I've said it before, but I'll keep saying it. This is the consequence of a justice system that moves too slowly.
I'm Ben Meiselas from the Midas Touch Network. So what has happened to Jeffrey Clark, the rogue DOJ assistant United States attorney who was involved in environmental issues, who was used by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans as part of their overall attempt to overthrow our democracy? Remember, Jeffrey Clark was the individual who Donald Trump wanted to appoint as the acting United States Attorney General because Jeffrey Clark was willing to send a memo to states telling him to overthrow the results of their elections so that Donald Trump would be declared the winner over the true winner, President Biden, then candidate Joe Biden. So what happened to Jeff Clark? We know that Jeff Clark was hit with a Department of Justice subpoena. We know that Jeff Clark is being, not only that, but hit with a search warrant that was executed at his residence, and he was wearing his underwear when he walked out of the door. We also know that Jeffrey Clark has been investigated not just by the DOJ, by Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, and also there have been disciplinary proceedings to revoke his license to practice law that have been initiated by the Office of Disciplinary Counsel, ODC, for the Washington, D.C. Board of Professional Responsibility, essentially disbarring Jeffrey Clark so he can't practice law anymore.
Today we're going to be speaking with Steve Schmidt, who's a renowned American political strategist, formerly of the 2008 McCain campaign and many other campaigns, founder of The Warning, a newsletter, podcast, and YouTube channel as well. Steve, great to have you on. I appreciate your time.
Good to be with you. I have always recognized that Donald Trump was a profound threat to the Republic, along with every other person in the Republican Party. The difference is a few of us, when we said never, meant it. And overwhelmingly, as in 99.99% of every person involved in the institutional Republican Party, allowed themselves to capitulate, appease what I regard as the most dangerous threat that the country has faced internally since the Civil War.
I don't think he's going to get convicted. I don't even know that this indictment is going to survive, quite frankly. It completely disregards the law. So I'm not even considering that at this point as something that we need to be concerned about. Donald Trump's going to win the presidential election. He's going to be the next president of the United States, unless Joe Biden gets impeached and there has to be someone between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Donald Trump is going to be the president of the United States again. I'm not worried at all about jail time or any potential criminal convictions, none of it. This is all, quite honestly, and Jim, you and I have been talking about this for years now. This is election interference. That's what this is. They're trying to influence the election.
No, it is an extremely damning indictment. There are indictments that are sometimes called narrative or speaking indictments. These are indictments that are really meant to make a point as to the depth of the evidence. There are some indictments that are just bare bones. This is not. The special counsel knew that there would be a lot of people who were going to allege that the Department of Justice was acting in a biased or politically motivated way. This is clearly an indictment that was drafted to answer those questions. It's overwhelming in details. And, the Trump team should not fool itself. These are hits below the waterline. These are witnesses who apparently testified under oath, gave statements to federal investigators, both of which can be criminally charged if they're false. Those witnesses are directly quoting the president in encouraging others not to look for documents or allegedly to conceal them. It's damaging. And the key here to keep in mind is that every case I've ever been involved with, the indictment was a heart stopper. These are written by lawyers who are trying to convict a client. Every indictment I've ever dealt with has fallen apart to some degree once we look more carefully at what the evidence may be. But this is not an indictment that you can dismiss.
In Miami today, security tape is going up and words of precaution are going out ahead of tomorrow's court appearance by former President Donald Trump. Mayor Francis Suarez and team said they're ready for up to 50,000 protesters.
We hope that tomorrow will be peaceful. We encourage people to be peaceful in them demonstrating how they feel. And we're going to have the adequate forces necessary to ensure that.
1,000 miles away, Mr. Trump began his journey to court boarding a plane in New Jersey en route to Florida. There, he'll face 37 counts on charges he held onto hundreds of classified documents, including top military secrets after leaving the White House, and that he resisted requests and a subpoena to hand them over. Friday's detailed indictment included photos of boxes sprawled throughout his Mar-a-Lago home, including in a bathroom, on a ballroom stage, and spilled over a storage room floor.
This is the final battle.
This after a weekend of not just denying and blasting the charges, but in an interview, Trump called for supporters to go to Miami and peacefully protest. In rallies in North Carolina and Georgia, he urged resolve.
We don't fold. We don't fold our tent and go home. And again, we want to drain the swamp, and I'm the only one that's going to do it. Nobody else is going to do it. We know the competition. We know it. Anyone else will be absolutely ripped to shreds. These are sick, sinister people.
This is the most political thing I have ever seen.
His supporters and some of his Republican presidential rivals have kept up a drumbeat in Mr. Trump's defense, with some, like key rival, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, choosing not to proclaim Trump innocent so much as to denounce the Justice Department as corrupt.
Our founding fathers would have absolutely predicted the weaponization that we've seen with these agencies, particularly Justice and FBI, because when you don't have constitutional accountability, human nature is such that they will abuse their power.
But new today, Trump's UN ambassador Nikki Haley told Fox News that while she thinks the DOJ has lost all credibility, now, after looking at the details here,
If this indictment is true, if what it says is actually the case, President Trump was incredibly reckless with our national security.
Sunday, Mr. Trump's own attorney general also rang in on the charges.
If even half of it is true, then he's toast.
Former Justice Department head Bill Barr told Fox News Trump had no right to keep such sensitive records.
I defend the president on Russiagate. I stood up and called out Alvin Bragg's politicized hit job. This is simply not true. This particular episode of trying to retrieve those documents, the government acted responsibly, and it was Donald J. Trump who acted irresponsibly.
But that's not how most Republican voters see it. A CBS News poll released yesterday found that 76% of likely primary voters said they thought Mr. Trump's indictment was only politically motivated. At the White House, Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre again declined to respond to the indictment.
This is a president that respects the rule of law. This is a president that wants to make sure and has proven that to be in his actions, to make sure that the Department of Justice is truly independent and just not going to speak to the case at all or comment on the case.
The attention tomorrow centers around the federal courthouse in Miami and the former president's court date, when his attorneys have said he will plead not guilty.
And Lisa joins us now with more about how Republicans are reacting to the...
Biden doesn't even know what day of the week it is. They wrap up his day sometimes at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. The latest they go is 4 o'clock in the afternoon because he's too goddamn old and doesn't know what the hell's going on. But now all of a sudden, he's a mastermind and he's weaponizing our federal police apparatus against Trump. Oh, please. You don't even believe that. You don't even believe that.
The handling of classified materials is a very serious matter, not only from my years as vice president, but also my years on the International Relations Committee. And look, I had a chance to review the indictment over the weekend. And this indictment contains serious charges. And I cannot defend what is alleged. I will tell you, not only as a former vice president, but also my son's a Marine. My son-in-law is a Navy lieutenant. I mean, the very prospect that what is alleged here took place, creating an opportunity where highly sensitive classified material could have fallen into the wrong hands, even inadvertently, that jeopardizes our national security. It puts at risk the men and women of our armed forces. And as I said, I can't defend what is alleged, but the former president has a right to his day in court.
Listen to this.
What are your thoughts about the arraignment?
Candace? We believe it's a witch hunt, but we do believe that President Trump is actually protected under the continuity of government. I believe he's our authentic president and that we are watching a movie.
Oh, really? So he's the current president of the United States?
I believe that.
What is Biden doing then?
Well, Biden is, we're under continuity of government. It's a military action. And so they're showing the people in slow motion the corruption and all the different elements, all the different agencies and the dual system. So they're saying, okay, if you want to steal the election, which they did, this is what you're going to get.
So then how is Biden doing in his role? Is he the president right now?
No, Biden is an actor, and I think Biden has been gone a long time. That's how I feel.
Gone dead?
Gone dead.
He's gone dead.
The one walking around?
An actor.
Do we know who the actor is?
And why would they pick an actor who looks frail and sometimes falls, right? Like, why would you do that?
There's different ones that play him. Everybody has actors, but I know it sounds so far-fetched, but they say that they're going to reveal it soon. Trump is protecting we the people. I do believe he's actually the king. It sounds pretty crazy. Instead of make America great again, it's going to be make the earth great again.
Oh, COVID is a government-made virus. Yeah, it's a government-made virus. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, of course we can talk to liberals. Yes, it's a government-made virus. They said it came from a lab. If it came from a lab, it's a weapon of biowarfare, and then they followed up. This is a depopulation operation that they're doing.
My audience is less familiar, so we got to walk through step by step. Facilitated the creating of the virus, and for what purpose?
It's a deep state. It's the globalist, Bill Gates, the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, the gang from Davos. This has been in the works for a long time.
Was the COVID an effort to get Trump out of office?
I think in part, in combination, they've been planning. If you listen to Dr. Fauci before he even entered office said that he's going to have to deal with the pandemic. They've been planning this for a long time.
He said, I'm going to have to deal with the quote-unquote pandemic.
He didn't say a pandemic, but he said there's going to be a pandemic on his watch. And
people have been he's been working for decades.
Oh yeah, he you know what? Anthony Fauci needs to be locked up. Anthony Fauci should be hanging from a tree. I was at January 6th. January 6th was a setup by the FBI and the CIA. The CIA and the FBI is corrupt.
Okay, wait, that's interesting. So why would the FBI, I'm guessing to help Democrats did that?
Oh, yeah.
So then why would the FBI in consultation with or coordination with the Democrats want to stop the certification of Biden's win?
Oh, they didn't stop the certification of Biden's win. They were for Biden's win. The FBI and the CIA are corrupt. They were behind the whole...
We got to slow down. We can't jump from lily pad to lily pad. Okay. So focusing on January 6th, why would the FBI want to create January 6th and frame Trump supporters?
Oh, because they want us to make us look like we're white supremacists. They want us to lock us up. There is half of the January 6th people that are in the D.C. gulag.
Don't worry. They are going to eliminate you to the one of the strategy of this agenda. To finish with the white American. That's what they want. To finish. The white American is the last one in the list.
I guess she's telling Luke that because he's white, the left is going to do something bad to him.
It's coming. Así que you, take care, because this Biden, yes, they want to eliminate them. When you're going to register in the university.
What makes you believe that?
When you're going to, I have a son that goes to the university.
She has a song that will explain it.
When you're going to register in the university, he's the last in the list, because he looks like you. And the last name. And I'm 54 years old. I have more vision than you. I have already like an ex-rapist.
Biden's older than you. Doesn't mean he's wiser than you?
No, he's older than me and sick and Alzheimer's. It's a shame.
It's a democratic republic.
It's a shame of the stupidity that he talks. It's a shame. It's a shame. It's a shame that it's the representation of this country. It's a bull representation. The whole world. The respect us. It's a weak imagine. Someone put
Obama's racist?
The biggest racist. Are you kidding me? Look what he's doing.
He's anti-black?
You think Biden is running the country now? Are you kidding me?
So Obama's...
No, Biden.
It's funny how some of these people say it's really Trump running the country. Others say it's really Obama. It would be great to get them together to argue about who's actually running the country.
Oh, Biden.
Recently was head of the KKK for a while, and Biden actually applauded him.
Right, but the Obama part's interesting to me. So Obama is running the country. How? In what capacity?
He's doing what he said he wanted to do 6 years ago. He said, I'd be happy running the government from my basement. And that's what he's doing. You don't think Biden is, do you?
I happen to, yeah.
You think that man is making any decisions? He doesn't even know what day it is. They
That's literally a quote from Trump verbatim.
have him so medicated. No, I'm sorry.
Just like my father.
Yeah, no, it's a joke. And let me tell you something else. This is the last thing I want to say. If you own the mainstream media, you can do anything you want to because you're keeping the truth from the people.
Who owns the mainstream media?
Liberal Jews, and I'm a Jewish girl, so I can say that, okay? My people are destroying this country. They run the Democrat Party, they run Hollywood, they run the education system. Are you kidding me?
You mentioned that Obama's racist because of what he's doing in power right now. What is he doing that's racist?
Contempt for America.
But what's the racist part of it?
Look what he's doing to the gay community. You don't think what he's doing is hurting them?
But homosexuality is not a race, right?
No. I'm jumping around. You gotta follow me. I'm quick.
The racism in this country started with Obama.
How many of you know that Donald Trump was indicted last week? Raise your hand. How many of you have heard that Donald Trump was indicted for a second time recently?
Yes.
Everybody knows. Okay.
I think he's being set up.
Oh, yeah. Tell me why.
Well, it's just too arranged. Everything is just too arranged. And when the FBI went in and raided his property at Mar-a-Lago, how do we know what they did and what they didn't do?
It's baloney. I think, just why isn't Biden indicted? Just because he gave them back at an appropriate time? I mean, really? He did exactly the same thing.
Well, you have a current president who is sicking all of the DOJ on a potential candidate. That's never happened.
Right.
I was actually struck mainly by how much they sound like every other focus group I do with two-time Trump voters. They were very clear that the indictments actually made them want to support Trump more, which is really consistent. I mean, we've been asking people for several months, how does it make you feel when you hear that Trump's indicted? Does it make you want to support him more, support him less? Out of the 58 people that we've asked, 26 of them said it makes them want to support Donald Trump more. Only 2 said less. They're a little bit mixed on whether Trump is exactly the right person to be the person who comes back, but still, after January 6th, after the indictments, after everything, still a lot of support for Donald Trump. How many of you distrust the FBI?
The three-letter agencies, the DOJ, the CIA, the FBI. I think when the country was formulated, their best of intent was to put some of these organizations or governing bodies in place, but how they're being manipulated now and they're being weaponized is the bigger concern.
I'm kind of frustrated by it because on one side, it seems like we're all going all out on President Trump. And on the other side, the wheels of justice are going very slow. It doesn't seem to be like equal amount of resources being devoted to looking into Hunter Biden's laptop.
And what about Hillary Clinton? Hillary Clinton had all this stuff, and she was never indicted.
You've got the DOJ, you've got the FBI reporting up to Biden. Ultimately, this goes up to Biden. So why wouldn't you want to take out your toughest political opponent? And this is election interference like we've never seen before. Yes. And it's disguised as Trump's a bad guy.
How many of you wanted Hillary Clinton to be indicted for her did you think she should go to jail for what she did?
Absolutely.
Because Trump at the time said that she should go to jail for mishandling classified information. Do you think he should be held to the same standard that he was setting for Hillary Clinton, or do you think that it's different for some reason?
I think he said that when you understand his personality and how he words things, he said that in jest. He didn't. I think he was just trying to paint a word picture. But should she have gotten some sort of punishment? Yes, I think so.
He's entitled to declassify whatever he wants to declassify. So, and other presidents that have left office have had classified documents. They were not treated the same way as Donald Trump is being treated. It is a two-tier justice system in this country, for sure. There's no doubt about it.
The biggest thing is that they really don't have a lot of faith or trust in the FBI or in the Department of Justice to prosecute this fairly. And I hear this always from Republican groups. And you hear it from Republican elected officials, too. And the conservative media really talks about this. They say, they're out to get Trump. There's a two-tier justice system.
And bringing up the Hillary Clinton server, the classified documents that President Biden took home.
Yeah, which you can see, actually. I mean, you know, Joe Biden, there's been a lot of classified documents that they found on his properties. Right. Mike Pence, they found classified documents on his properties. And so for voters, they oftentimes think, well, I don't understand. It seems like a lot of these elected officials keep taking classified documents home. And they don't always see the difference between Trump being told, hey, you have to return those documents, and then refusing to do so or lying to the FBI when he was asked.
That deep-seated distrust extended to the 2020 election results and their aftermath, too.
How many of you believe Joe Biden was legitimately elected president of the United States? How many of you believe that the election was stolen or rigged in some way? Okay, everybody. What about January 6th? How do people feel about January 6th?
Yeah. Set up. 100% set up.
You go look at the videos showing the Capitol Police walking these people through the Capitol, talking, no problems whatsoever, and then they turn around and say, they attacked us, in essence. The videos show a whole different story than what they're saying happened.
I personally don't think that, like, he was calling people to, like, do, like, I watched, like, what he said and everything, and, like, I mean, he didn't say anything to me, like, in watching it that was like, you know, oh, yeah, he's telling them to go and, like, storm the Capitol, you know, like, I personally didn't feel like that, that what he was said was so inflammatory that he was just trying to, like, you know, tear the country apart.
They're still arresting people 2 years since it happened.
He loves this country. I can't believe that somebody that loves this country would want to cause people to fight like that, and he's against wars.
Well, he's not the typical politician, and his words aren't what we call polished, and he just blurted out.
Do people want to vote for a Republican candidate who is committed to pardoning the people from January 6th?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's say Trump is found guilty of these charges. He goes through the courts, and they find him guilty. Raise your hand if it makes you support him more. Raise your hand if it makes you support him less.
And President Trump retains some measure of support, even among those who think he likely committed a crime.
I read the indictment, and it's plain as day that he broke the law knowingly. Whether the DOJ came after him, which I think is very plausible, and why they're ignoring Hunter Biden's laptop, I think is a separate issue. But it is clear he broke the law, and I think it's time for him to go away. And I appreciated what he did for the country during his 4 years, but I think that he is part of the problem.
But when asked if he'd vote for Trump if he were the nominee running against President Biden...
Trump's the nominee versus Biden. What will you do?
I would vote for him for the third time.
You would?
I think that it's that significant.
Well, it's a little counterintuitive, but one of the things about Donald Trump, and this has been true whether it's his 2 impeachments or whether it is now his second indictment, there's this thing that happens that I call the rally around Trump effect, where Republican voters, when they feel like he's being attacked, they tend to support him even more. And so it creates kind of an energy, and it also allows Trump to really suck up all the oxygen. We're always talking about Trump. And so ultimately it does tend to help him. And if he continues to get indicted, we continue to talk about Trump all the time. It's really difficult for some of these other 2024 challengers to make an affirmative case for themselves and sort of see why from listening to these voters. They don't like when people attack Trump.
And this is just recycling conspiracy theories that were promulgated by Rudy Giuliani and Donald Trump years ago. First, let me read a little bit from this New Republic article. Democratic congressman reveals the fatal flaw in the GOP's Biden investigation. If you're claiming someone has all the evidence, that person should probably agree with you. So we're learning 2 things. One, that the person who claims they have all of this information on the Bidens, the person who the Republicans claims they have information doesn't say that. The other thing is that this is becoming more and more transparent as days go on, that the Republicans are doing nothing but a Benghazi Part 2. Even worse this time, it's not predicated on real events at all. It is made up out of whole cloth. Reading from this New Republic article, during an oversight committee hearing on Wednesday, Democratic Representative Daniel Goldman said he had been eager to see the FD 1023, a form the FBI uses to note unverified information from confidential sources. But he soon realized that the document was, quote, just a 3-year-old secondhand hearsay uncorroborated rehashing of Rudy Giuliani's bogus allegations that he got from corrupt Ukrainian officials. Now, I'm going to read this next paragraph, which will remind you of what exactly I'm talking about. Giuliani and Donald Trump first pushed the conspiracy that the Biden family accepted a $10 million bribe to remove former Ukrainian prosecutor Viktor Shokin in 2016 to stop a probe into Hunter Biden's role at the oil company's Burisma Holdings. Several Republican lawmakers say that the FBI form they saw this week not only mentions this bribe, but that a Burisma executive has audio recordings of Biden and Hunter Biden accepting the money. Both Anna Paulina Luna and Marjorie Taylor Greene said that executive is Burisma owner Mykola Zlochevsky. I probably botched that. So here is that moment of Daniel Goldman, who is proving to be worth every penny he's paid as a representative, both as a legislator, but also bringing his vast experience as an investigator with him to the job. Watch this.
We've heard so much about this FBI 1023 form and how it includes sensational allegations about a massive alleged bribery scheme by President Biden. So I was really eager to read that document this week. Did the majority actually find some actual evidence of wrongdoing by the president? Of course not. But it's even worse than that.
This document that they will not stop talking about is shockingly just a 3-year-old second-hand hearsay, uncorroborated rehashing of Rudy Giuliani's bogus allegations that he got from corrupt Ukrainian officials. Now, we all know that former President Donald Trump was impeached because he tried to extort President Zelensky to announce an investigation into this Ukrainian company Burisma that would benefit Trump's political campaign. The theory goes that then Vice President urged Ukraine to fire its prosecutor general because he was investigating Burisma and the president wanted to help his son who was on the Burisma board. You know where Rudy Giuliani got this information from? That fired prosecutor general himself, the corrupt prosecutor general.
Now look, the history of Ukraine relative to these modern times in the last few years is one of ups and downs, but it is absolutely rife with corruption. They seem to be getting past these problems now that they've got a new president, but it has been kind of a puppet state of Russia in the past and has had all kinds of problems relative to government officials acting unscrupulously. Now, this particular claim, we're going to go back to the New Republic here, this claim has been repeatedly debunked by multiple State Department and intelligence experts on Russia and Ukraine. But Goldman highlighted the main flaw in the Republicans' argument. And then you heard him. You know who else also debunked these allegations? Mykola Zlochevsky, the same man Republicans claim had secret incriminating audio recordings. When Zlochevsky was asked by Politico, this is important, when this guy was asked by Politico in 2020 whether Biden had ever assisted Burisma while he was vice president, he simply said no. Zlochevsky also said that no one from Burisma ever had any contacts with Vice President Biden or people working for him while his son was on the company board. Goldman also pointed out that the FBI, alongside a U.S. attorney appointed by then-President Donald Trump, had reviewed the bribery accusation when it was made in 2020 and found it to be unsubstantiated. There is nothing here. All this is a naked ploy by James Comer and Kevin McCarthy and Jim Jordan and other doofus Republicans to create a conspiracy, to create a scandal where there isn't one. As I've said before, if there's evidence, show me the evidence, and I will be on board with you, James Comer, to call for the arrest, the investigation of, the indictment of, the prosecution of, and the jailing of Joe Biden. But until then, as I've said in the past also, shut your mouth. All this is a distraction. All this is one, not getting on with the business of the people of these United States, and also running interference for Donald Trump. That's what we got here. One more paragraph here. Again, from Daniel Goldman. Chairman Comer has asked, why is this committee the only committee that's investigating him? And that's the right question. Why, Goldman said. Because everybody else who's looked at it has found these allegations to be completely bogus. So let's move on, Daniel Goldman said. Indeed, let's move on. Let's move on to the important business of the people of America. Let's move on to making people's lives better and easier in this high inflationary times that Republicans cannot stop talking about. If they really wanted to reverse some of the policies that they claim are dangerous from Joe Biden, why are they not doing it? Instead, they distract with this.